Well, hello. Welcome to another Paranormal Highway. Today, we're talking about the Smithsonian. There's a lot of different stories about the Smithsonian. I can't sit here to tell you what's true and what's not. We know Smithsonian. oh, Okay, we know the Smithsonian is a museum, but there's conspiracies about it. There's stories that they have aliens there, giants, bodies. I mean, there's so many stories out there about the Smithsonian. Who knows what the truth is? Is the government using the Smithsonian as a cover up to keep their stuff there? I mean, everything is such a mystery behind the Smithsonian. And the best part about today's show is after the intro, we got a person. A lot of you know. If you're new here, you don't know. His name is Dr. Wu, Mr. Robert Wood, who is an archaeologist who graduated from the University of Washington. So this just ain't no somebody off the street, even though we're related, but this is an actual archaeologist who has worked for the Museum of Flight. That's technically half owned by Boeing and all that. And then he has worked for the Smithsonian himself. This person, Dr. Wu, physically worked there, that you had to have clearance, security clearance to work there. So he was no janitor, no window cleaner, which I got nothing wrong with those. Those people are wonderful. A lot of respect for them. But this person physically has clearance there. So what does he know? Does he know anything? What does that be seen? Can we get something out of him? Can we somehow maybe he'll mess up and tell us something we weren't supposed to know? That's the challenge. So if you're really into the Smithsonian, well, we got somebody who worked there firsthand. So kick back, get ready. During the intro, I always say, go find yourself a bathroom, go slap yourself 3 times, say Bloody Mary, and let me know how that goes. All right, beyond that, I'll see you back after the intro with the famous archaeologist, Dr. Wu.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Did you see it?
All right. Now, before we start digging right into the Smithsonian, let me tell you some simple facts. Some simple people will say, why would the government would be even involved in the Smithsonian? So let me tell you how involved that our government is with the Smithsonian. This right here is the annual budget that the Smithsonian has. This is their actual budget. Look at this. The annual budget is $1.25 billion, not millions. $1.25 billion, with 2/3 coming from the annual federal apportionment. So 2/3 of it, that funds comes from the federal government, and the rest is memberships, dues, retail, toys, licensing revenue, and all that. But the government basically owns this. I mean, wrap that around your head, people. $1.25 billion. Just imagine. Bob, now, Bob, Now, this might be irrelevant for a second, but I don't know if you know this answer real quick. You worked at the Museum of Flight. Do you know what their museum budget was?
Oh, they didn't have much because they're nonprofit. They're a nonprofit, so nonprofits can't make money. They can, but they needed several millions of dollars.
Okay. Well, that's good.
If I were to test, yeah. Well, I mean, they money laundered
millions of dollars. You said millions of dollars now. So you hear that, right, people? You hear that? So
yeah.
Museum of Flight Museum needs a few $1 million. The Smithsonian, $1.25 billion a year.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. A lot of stuff, though. A whole lot of stuff.
Oh, it's a lot of stuff. But I'm going to bring up this fast article, and then we're going to ask you questions because beginning of this article. Now, remember, this article came from CNN, so this ain't no shit. I'm not saying shit, but this ain't no from fart website, fart head website, or a butt ass corporation company. If you guys in the chat know what I'm talking about, that I actually going to be owner of a company called Butt Ass. But that's a long story from yesterday's show. But if I share this, I hear echo.
You hear an echo?
Yeah, I hear an echo.
Okay.
You guys in the chat hear an echo?
Now, I've been working on my audio. So how's that sound now?
Hello.
Testing 1 2 3 Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta. You hear me?
No, it's not you. It's when I speak.
You still got an echo?
I don't hear it now.
That means you have something up. If you have your own show up and another bar up there.
Oh, I don't.
Like you were checking on your own show. Okay. So it's gone now, right?
Okay. Danny says sounds good to me. No problem then. Now from the CNN. This is CNN. It says a Washington Post investigation recently revealed that the Smithsonian currently holds a collection of at least, so they don't even know how many, 30,700 body parts, including 255 brains taken from across the world. The Smithsonian Secretary Lonnie Bunch III has apologized for the unethical manner in which the collection was amassed. So basically, they apologize. Yeah. So this is not a lie or a fake. They said they came out with this investigation, and Lonnie Bunch says yes, we do have that, and they apologize for the unethical manner. But Bob, first of all, first question for you is these body parts and these brains, when you work there, did you even see these body parts and brains?
Yeah, every day. Every day. Depends on what department.
Are these something that's the public can see, or is just this in the back?
Hell no. They're for research only. They're for research. The bulk of the collections are for research. What you see on the top side is only the tip of the iceberg. That's only the stuff they throw out there. The rest of it's for research. 100% research. You guys have no idea. It goes way fast. It's huge. I mean, there's nothing you can comprehend. And people are always like, let's bring up the collection. Yeah.
But this is why we're here. This is exactly why we're here. But we know research, you could donate your body to a hospital to test, you could do all that. But why, in your opinion, they need over 30,700 body parts? I mean, what are they? What I'm basically asking you is, what kind of research are they doing with these bodies?
They're checking the densities, and they're checking what their diet was, everything. They're checking everything. The DNA. They're running a DNA lab. They've got the biggest DNA lab on the fucking planet, on the back of the turtle, whatever your forte is for shapes. I don't know. Everything. They got it all. They got all tissues. They got everything. Everything. That's their job. To have everything.
Now, what I want to ask you is, I don't know, I don't know if there's cover-ups or anything, because according to this, most of the remains are post-found were collected in the early 1900s under the
Correct.
direction of archaeologist Alice Hertka, who sought to advance his new debunked theories that white people were superior to people of color. Now, first of
Yeah.
all, are they just blowing smoke up our ass, telling us that
No.
most of these are from early 1900s, or
Yeah.
are there a lot of modern people, bones, and muscles
No,
down there?
they're all old. They're all old. They're
They're
all
all
old.
old. Okay.
Yeah, everything's old. I mean, they've got a new collection that people might donate. They might donate their body or two. They might. I mean, get a lot of people donate. There's a lot of atheists in this world, in this place. Nobody gives a shit about their body. They can't afford to bury grandma. They give grandma to the Smithsonian. Grandma, they take grandma and they put her in the fucking bug room, and the bugs eat her body, and they have bones left, and they keep her bones,
Now,
and then they drill holes in their bones.
what's weird about reading this, that they were actually trying to study the theory that white people were superior race.
Yeah, it's
You know,
eugenics.
but if you're gonna try to vet, I don't know, research that,
Yeah.
why only from bodies from 1900s? Like, why not modern? If you're trying to research that, like, what's a superior race?
Well, because it's the collection from the World War II.
Is it
From all
because
the
that's easy bodies to get to?
well, yeah, and plus all the Nazis already had them. They already had them. The Nazis brought over tons of stuff. They brought over all their shit. Operation Paperclip. Everyone thinks when they think of Operation Paperclip, they think of the 1950s rockets. Nah, man. Nah, that's the smoke screen.
Oh, we got good news. Danny Stanton just said, "I'm donating my body to science." True story.
Oh, cool, man! I'll take you straight to the bug room and have them. They'll clean you up in about a month. You'll be stripped white, clean bones. We'll have you all done up to powder and figure your shit out.
What I'm curious about is,
Yeah.
did they really? I mean, you've been there. Did they really try to see what race is superior on this planet?
Well, they have all the research from eugenics, from the Nazis in World War II. They have all their research. It came with them. So all that. So people say they all went to the rocketry program. No, they didn't. That's a fucking couple of guys. The rest of them all went to Smithsonian, and they're scientists working there. I worked with some guys that were clearly, I mean, right off the fucking old Nazi cuff there. They were doing eugenics. So they had what they used to do is they had skulls, and they had a skull, and they had particular, now not just, okay, everyone get the whole, let's get religion out of the way. It's not just people of the Judaisms or races or people of this races. It's everybody across the board, all nationalities, all different nationalities. They had all their brains and all their skulls, all their everything, and they were looking at specifically what is their body. How does it adapt? How is it different from each other? Are we biologically different from each other? Do we have different DNA from each other? What's the difference between this DNA and this DNA? What's the 1% difference in morphology? All the different stuff. So they had like a collection of skulls. I was like, they picking them up, and they drilled a hole in the top, and they fill it with small BBs, like BBs. They basically fill them up with BBs. There you go. So they fill them up with BBs, and they have a particular volume of BBs. And they did it by weight. So they did a particular volume of BBs. They put them into this skull, see how much it can hold, which is the capacity, your brain capacity. And they'd put it in this race, their skull, same age. So this one is 33. He's a 33-year-old man from Kenya. This is a 33-year-old man from China. This is a 33-year-old man from Sweden. He's a 33-year-old, all across the board, everyone all the same ages, same height, same weight. So it's got to be, it's got to be mathematically equal, whatever. And then they examine their skulls, and they would fill them with a buckshot, like a type of BBs. Fill them up to the top, see what the volume is, see if there's a difference between our brains, their brains, her brains, his brains. See if there's some sort of graph you can make that determines that this particular race had larger brains than these people, so these people were superior, all that stuff. But then again, that's what World War II was about. It was all eugenics. That's what they did. So, I mean, as an anthropologist, so I'm not sitting here being all racist or anything. This is what they did. So I saw all those. I saw the bones. I saw how they did all the different things to them. I've seen everything. So, yeah, they have a large hidden collection from World War II. A lot of them. And they all came from the Nazis. But then again, before Nazis, you had other groups bringing their stuff in. So it wasn't just them. It goes all the way back. It goes all the way back. And then all the artifacts were written in ink on little cat cards. They call them cat cards, cat, whatever, category, whatever. And they have a particular number that goes along with that artifact, which is the skull. You know what I mean? Everybody's an object to be used for science. So, yeah, they have tons of stuff from the Nazis. Tons.
Well, going back to this, it says Hertziger, who headed the Smithsonian Physical Anthropology Division from 1903 to 1941, used highly unethical methods to build up the institution's collection of human remains, working with researchers and doctors to acquire them from morgues, hospitals, graveyards, according to the Post. Decades later, very few of the brains in its collection have been repatriated.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Bob, there's no secret that there are so many things that are done unethical. And to this day, things are still being done unethical. So that's nothing really new.
Yeah.
But what is this here? Now, it says here, because of all that, the National Museum of the American Indian Act of Federal Law in 1889 stipulates that the Smithsonian must return the remains of an individual in an expedited manner upon request of their descendants or tribe. First of all, if they have all these bones, bodies, and all that, do they even know? I mean, are they like code like who they belong to in the first place? I mean, do they know each body part that they have, where it came from?
Yeah. That was my job.
So,
that was what I did.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was one of my jobs. Okay, let me say that again. One of the jobs. Yeah, to make sure because indigenous peoples, of course, religiously, you got to have every piece of their body, every bone, every carpal, metacarpal, phalange, freaking this, that, tooth, everything has to belong to that individual, because in the afterlife, they get all of that. So if they're missing a leg here, then in the afterlife, they don't have that leg. They need all the parts together in a box. They're all in a box. They're in a sliding wooden drawer. You pull them in and out, and they gotta make sure that every piece of their body part is in there for that person. And there's they have cat numbers. So basically, okay, so I have every finger, every this has the cat number. Okay, that matches up with this. It's the same thing as putting together like a Lego toy. It has to have all the pieces to make the Death Star. Because if you're missing one piece of that Death Star, then it's not a complete Death Star. It's the same concept. So they had all these drawers of individuals that could not be labeled indigenous. They don't know. You can go in as an anthropologist and identify them by their molars, because molars specifically will identify particular races, and also in the protrusions of their faces. You can look at the skulls and say, okay, this one is obviously of this race. This one's of this race. Based off the molars here, this one has a mongoloid, which is also part of certain indigenous groups that had come over from the land bridge and stuff. So they come over from the Asia, and so you can identify them as these are indigenous.
You ate all the asses?
Dr.
Wu ate all the asses. That's why the asses were not returned. That's gross, man. So they had a lot of indigenous, but a lot of, and I've talked about this in other people's shows. They've heard this already, but you got to understand,
There there is no identifier for what indigenous group they came from, because these were prisoners, these were felons, these are somebody, they were incarcerated and died in prison in like the 1800s, way back in the day. These are people that were put into a prison. Most people were just dead and left for dead and left out the dead, whatever. But these people were lucky enough to be in a prison and died in a prison, and they were indigenous. And they just buried them outside the prison walls, put them in the ground. And they had the local prison cemetery. And I was into that. I was like, oh, but then when modern times come around, they were digging up all the graves to make way for condos and buildings.
I get it.
And
it says on your shirt, that's why you eat ass. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
She must be able to read. She can read kanji. Yeah, that's good. That's good. You can read kanji. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, there's so many different articles. Like here's an article that talks about the Smithsonian, took brains from to build brain collection, and it talks about like a 59-year-old black woman died of epilepsy, which I can understand that if somebody died of something, I can see why they would want that brain so they can study it, see if they can find a cure. I mean, down here, at least 19 of the brains are describing documents as having been removed from fetuses, including one following an abortion. 17 came from children. They were taken from people who died in the hospital that served the city almshouse, or was taken from a deaf and mute man. Wow.
Yeah.
Hendrick himself performed an autopsy on a 21-year-old who died at a children's most bones and removed his brain. Michelle Ferris, a distant relative of Moses who lived nearby in Glen Burnie, Maryland, had no idea a family member remains were the Smithsonian until they informed by the Post. Wow. I mean,
they didn't want them. Nobody claimed the bodies. So they were going to be put into a cemetery. Nobody claimed them.
That's true, right? It's like war,
they're
right?
now.
You're right, Bob. You have war, right? You have all these bodies, like the Civil War, all these bodies. Do you just bury every single body?
Your great uncle just died in prison. Come get him. If not, he's going to be buried on the grounds. And
most people don't want it. Yeah.
And sometimes before they die, I mean, this is unethical. It is unethical, but it is what it is. Hey, you're dying of tuberculosis. So if you want to donate your body in the prison, that is, Smithsonian wants to take your body away. We'll make your last couple of days or months or whatever you have left good. We'll give you money. You're in prison. We'll pay you. You're not going to be released. You're dying. But with that money, you can buy tuna fish, tobacco at the time, coffee, fresh, I can buy all kinds of wonderful things until you die. So they sold themselves. And then they came and collected them. Now, the thing is, here's the thing you guys don't understand, that people don't get. Shut the hell up. Now, these people have a disease. That disease needs to be cured. Scientists need to know what they can do to prevent this disease from spreading, and how and what we can learn from the damage this disease has caused. So the bodies that they have were diseased. It's like having the Elephant Man. You remember the Elephant Man?
Yep.
Yeah. The Elephant Man was valuable. They wanted him. I mean, he wanted him back.
Well, not just disease. Think about it. If you were offered to take the body, say somebody's in prison, it costs money to put a body in the ground.
It costs money.
It's not cheap to put a body in the ground. You just can't pick out a ground to say, put the body there. You can't. You have to put it at a designated graveyard, and you got to pay for it. Thousands of dollars in some cases.
The family has to pay for it. For example, when I was stationed in Japan, and this is the true story. So I've been in jail a couple of times. It happens, right? The Japanese, they don't feed you in prison. The family feeds you. The family has, so the chaplain from the ship has to go to the jails of Japan, right? There's always a couple of freaking Americans locked away. And the chaplains have to bring meals, food, soap, fresh linen. You know, they got to bring it to you in the jail. They got to bring it to you. Not in America, no, they get it paid for.
There is a question
They
for
get
you.
a dollar. What's that?
Carla Webster, Dr. Wu, do you believe the way a body is treated after death is buried, burned, or donated to science affects what happened to the soul?
I don't believe you don't need it. You don't really die. You just kind of shift a timeline or two.
Well,
You
doesn't
go
the
on
soul
to
leave the
freaking-
body in the first place? So if a soul leaves the body, it's just an empty shell, isn't it?
It's just an empty avatar.
Okay.
However, when you're dealing with death and dying and a family member, it's not so much
$10,000 for a funeral.
Yeah, $10,000. Yeah. So it's not so much as you being dead. Your body's being handled by the family. It's how they want to handle you and remember you.
It's
So
more
if
for
the
the
family
family.
doesn't
That's
want
true.
you,
That is true.
if the family doesn't want you, then who gives a rat's ass? Because you're gone. Your sleeping bag is empty. Who cares? That's why in a lot of early certain other cultures, they lay the bodies out and let the vultures eat them. They lay the bodies out and let the animals have them. They bury them under trees. You know, they are seeds, and then they let them grow as a tree. In India, they burn them and stick them in the water. They push them into the water. Then you got all them other priests rubbing all your family members' ashes all over their face and their crotch, and they're like, they got freaking or eating half your grandma's fucking leg. You don't care. So Smithsonian is very decent compared to India and other parts of the world who just throw your shit over. You know, they bring.
Well, if you die on a ship, they throw you into the ocean.
They throw you into the ocean. Yeah. So, you know, again, ethics comes from the family for the deceased, not the deceased. Deceased don't matter. It's an empty sleeping bag. So it's up to the family to have how they want to see their how they want to remember. They want to see grandma in a coffin and have a full funeral. Awesome. $10,000, please. Cha-ching. That'll be for the coffin. And then we're going to have this done. And here's sign here. That'll be $100,000. Yeah.
You know, when our father passed away, I mean, we got lucky because he's been in the military, so he got to be buried at a military plant, but we still had to pay for the what do you call it? When you burn the body into you still have to pay for all that. You still got to pay for death certificates. I mean, it's a lot of money. So it's almost like, hey, they can do whatever they want because I don't want to have to pay a dime, especially for somebody that you never even liked.
Yeah, me and Eric and our older brother, we were like, we don't have $5,000 between us, man. We were all, I'm paying student loans. I'm working this, working that. Eric, you're doing your, you got a mortgage. I had a mortgage. You know, we all like, I don't just have an available $5,000.
That is expensive. It is.
Do we get a payment plan? I don't want to do a payment plan, man.
No, right? I mean, seriously, a payment plan for somebody who passes away.
Can I just burn Pop in the backyard? He don't give a shit. Can I just bury him I'll just take him up to the mountain, but you can't do that.
Okay, now let's get into a little bit now deeper in a little bit. So the story about that many body parts is true. Like the story you said, CNN is right on that. All the brains, they're right on that. Now let's get into about are some of those bones that you've seen are considered what some people believe that there was once giants on this planet. Yeah. Are there giants inside the Smithsonian that you saw?
There's giants. There's midgets. There's dwarfs. There's
now, of course, dwarf. I mean, but you physically saw these giants.
Yeah, there are humans with massive deformities.
Now, when we say
There's
giant,
everything.
can you tell us, Bob, what do you mean by giants? Like, how big of the head compared to your head? How big of the biggest head you've seen in the Smithsonian as a giant?
I don't know. Can Danny Staten have a picture of his head up there? But no,
Danny Staten. Well, this is his little head right there.
no, there are some big noggins in there. There's some big noggins in there, and they're showing traits that earlier humans had an adaptation for. For example, the brow ridge was very, very thick and large. Now, the brow ridge were famous on Neanderthals, and Neanderthals had a specific brow ridge, and certain other races had a particular brow ridge. And that kind of shows how old they are by the thickness of their brow ridge. So, yeah, there was some heads, but when it comes to skulls, what people don't have the education to ask me is, do they have a Newcomb's crest? And people are like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Well, of course you don't. I'm going to tell you. Newcomb's crest is like what a gorilla has. So you have your top of your skull and it goes to a peak, like a peak. It's got a point, like down the center. And that's where the muscle's attached from here to the jaw. So you would have, for example, a gorilla has a Newcomb's crest because it needs a lot of jaw muscles. So when people describe
these kind of stories, Bob, there was an Irish giant, 2.31 millimeter, and died in the 20s.
Yeah, well, they got all kinds, guys. They got all kinds. Here's the answer: yes, but I don't know what to tell everybody. There's a lot of everything. You understand? Everyone just is so concerned about the one thing, the giant. But what about the people that had deformities like the elephant man? What about people that are short in stature, tall in stature, very, very small in stature? All sizes. But everybody's all focused on these mythology stories of the giants that come out of the forest or whatever. Like, yeah, but what about the little people? What about, they call them elves or gnomes?
What about during the what about the age of dinosaurs? You know, like, wouldn't, if there was humans back then, wouldn't they have to be kind of like giants to be able to survive during the dinosaurs age?
They would have to, yes. However, highly unlikely because it'd be harder for them to hide.
We're gonna get to that, Karen. We're gonna get to that.
The smaller you are, the more survivability you have. The smaller you are that you can go underground and be safe from something larger, you have a better chance to live. Bigger you are, the more chance you can die, and you require more resources. And you know, smaller is better. That's why humans have adapted to be smaller than the giants. The giants did not. They died out because of their height. However, as the question was, yes, they are there. Yes, they do have giants there. Yes, they have their big ass fucking skulls and big ass bodies and parts and stuff. And it's obvious that they came from a place that had more oxygen. More oxygen comes from more plants and trees and plankton and thicker oceans with more life, and more oxygen, bigger things get. I told everyone that same story over and over again about how you take piranha from the Amazon, and they're small, and they've adapted to very little oxygen because there's almost no oxygen in the water in the Amazon. And once you add oxygen to their tanks in an artificial setting, they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. More oxygen makes bigger. More oxygen makes bigger. So you have giants because in the time when we had lots and lots of oxygen. So all animals are adopting to getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All animals. However, the bigger you are, the faster you died out. That's why all dinosaurs are now birds and small. And that's why humans are small. And all the animals that survive are the small animals. There you go.
Well, I want to ask you, one of the ultimate questions. Somebody did want to mention something in the chat that wanted
My
me to ask
penis
you,
size?
but well, actually, I was about to say they probably already know that. Like I'm like, whoa, they already know that. Then something happened. But okay, so let it like this. Okay, so basically, Bob, on Monday, was it Monday? I can't remember. No, it was Tuesday. I actually did on the spot live show because there was a live press conference
Oh, yeah.
from LA. I'm bringing this up for a second. So I did, since it was live, I said, what the hell? I'm just going to go this. Okay. So basically this group, which I give them every credit in the world to try to say these are real aliens. And listen, I give them all the credit in the world for talking. I mean, this guy goes all out. But in the truth matter of it all, truth matter, regardless of we think those aliens are real or not, of what you have seen in the Smithsonian that you know for a fact. I mean, we just want to know, have you seen certain kind of bones? I'm not saying exactly what they have there, but is there bones that you've seen you cannot explain? How about that? You can't explain if they're ETs or not.
Yeah, they're not Homo sapiens, no. But you had multiple different species outside of the conspiracy. You have Neanderthals, you've got Denisovans, you've got this, you've got Gigantopithecus, you've got all these other different species. And everyone's like, I'm just so focused on the aliens. The aliens, they're not even aliens. They're just an adapted some sort of hominoid, generally a hominoid that's adapted to their environment. So I already mentioned there's the pygmy people, the this people, the that people. Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen remains of smaller non-humans. Well, they're hominoids, not human, but they are primate in family. They are vertebrae. Okay, we go to basics. Everybody, start with the basics. You have a fish. A fish is a vertebrae. You have a human. A human is a vertebrae. You got a donkey. A donkey is a vertebrae. You've got a octopus. It is not a vertebrae. Don't have a vertebrae. Doesn't have a vertebrae. So have I seen vertebraes? If you want to generally use it like that as a term, yes, I have. I've seen small vertebrae. Yes. He calls them lizard people. Well, lizards. Well, we were lizards. This is where everybody's so bad, because if I took a human brain and I cut it in half, you've got three distinctly identifiable different brains. You have one. If you take it, you pull it out, they call it the lizard brain. If you take it out of the skull and compare it to a lizard, it would be the same brain. Look, we have a lizard brain. Put it back in the skull. Then you've got the mammalian brain, the mammal brain. You take that piece out, you take it to a monkey, and you say, look, it's the same size as a monkey. Put it back in the human skull. Then you got the neo-mammalian brain, which is the new frontal cortex. It's a new outer layer on top of the mammalian brain. That's humans. And we have that. So when they talk about reptiles, of course we were reptiles. We come from them. We came from the ocean. We came from the vertebrae that came out and whatever. And then you have the smaller smaller lizard brain. Then it adapted over time the mammal brain. And then you have the new neo-mammalian brain, whatever. You could take the layers apart like an onion. You could see it, observe it with your own eyes, science, and go, oh, I see the lizard brain. So if you had a species that was intelligent and had the same brain we did and went a different direction, Well, then they grew their whatever outside of their smaller lizard brain, or maybe their lizard brain kept growing. Instead of having an adaptation for a mammalian brain, maybe the same lizard brain that we have grew and became its own. So you would have what they would call a reptile. Yeah, because we were all reptiles. I think Obama said it.
People keep bringing those questions in. You got Dr. Wu right there. Keep bringing them in.
Yeah.
Okay, but simple.
Yeah.
Let's make it simple without all that fancy educated talk. Simple.
Yeah.
Is there an alien body from another planet? Maybe it looks like this, maybe it doesn't. But is there an alien body from another planet in the Smithsonian? Plain and simple.
Well, okay. It's not labeled from another planet. It's not labeled from another planet. It's labeled scientifically. It's in the vertebrate department. It has a particular size of this and this and this. It's got a particular bone enamel. It's got particular cartilage. It's just a science. It's just a hominid. And there's nothing about this one came from Mars. You didn't say that. You don't say shit like that. It's science only. So I can't tell you if it came from Saturn or came from the Andromeda area. You know, there's no fucking label like that. Have I seen? Well, go ahead.
No, but personally, what do you feel?
Yeah.
Do you think there is one from another planet in there?
I can't tell you that because there's no information that says it is that. There is nothing.
Forget all the information.
Yeah.
Do you believe in yourself that you think there's one in there? Okay.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's fair.
No,
That's fair.
because we could have that type of climate here. We could have, say it could have been a branch from us millions and millions and millions of years ago that went underground, and now they live in an underground cavern, and now they live with all the other glowing things underground.
Basically, it's impossible to tell
because there's no information that it is. See, all that stuff is fake. That's all propaganda fake. This one's from Mars. It came from outer space.
Me, Bob, you don't think this is an actual alien there?
That's a paper mache put together with all kinds of different bones, like I think there's three different animal vertebrae in there. I think there's like 3 different vertebrae in there. And the biggest red flag on that whole thing is they've got rocks in its stomach. And they're like, no, it's not. It's eggs. No, it's not. Come on. You can't.
Bob, you can't trust those two guys? Look at those 2 honest guys right there.
I'm like, okay, those are rocks. How do you know? You ever x-ray a rock? It looks like rocks. You've ever x-rayed an egg? It looks like eggs. Those are not eggs. Those are rocks. They stuffed them with rocks, man. This thing has got red flags all up and down it. Look at it.
Look at this. Bob, look at that. They actually go all out and they put it inside
with the rocks in it. They got rocks in its stomach.
You got to appreciate them going all out.
Well, you're talking about a culture that makes freaking piñatas and paper mache things. They're experts at it. It's no different than like someone taking a balloon and making an animal out of it. If I untie it, it's still a balloon. It's just whatever what it looks like.
Do you think it's a weird like connection that just that weekend the government came out with their files, which we all knew they're going to say there's no evidence of alien life form, and then just 2 days after that, here we go. We got real aliens. We're gonna X-ray them and everything.
Bring out the paper mache. The skin. Okay, the skin is dehydrated. It don't look like that. The skin don't dehydrate like that. What is the skin made of? Is it a silicone? Is it what is the skin made of? I've seen mummified bodies. I've seen lots and lots of mummified bodies. And it gives the characteristic as mummification, dehydration. Sure, it does. But then all of a sudden, you got like this, what looks like a clamp on the back of the head. What is the clamp? What is the rocks and the what do they put artificial shit all up inside of it?
No.
It's obviously been manipulated. I mean, and did they mummify it? Because it shows mummification, which means you have to remove the organs. So they would remove in mummification, you remove the brains, you remove all tissues, all tissue, all the internal or everything comes out. Okay, so everything comes out, and then they might fill it with organics like grass and flowers and spices and all kinds of other things and stitch it back up, mummification.
Yeah. Well, one of the aliens have eggs because Jeremy Corbell had sex with one of the aliens.
Yeah, it's just like, give me a week and some epoxy and some other materials, because I worked in an exhibit, so I made fake things for a living. I made fake sets for a living. We made fake aliens for a living. I can make an alien. People can make masks. You could do paper mache.
Okay, how about this? Fake or not? Okay, now I know when you, of course, got the job there, you also had to sign that you are not allowed to say certain things to the public what you have seen.
I didn't.
Now,
no, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No.
Okay. All right.
There was no disclosure paperwork. Nothing like that.
No disclosure. So
no, there's no, they call that. I forgot.
That the Smithsonian is holding things for the government that we're not supposed to know. Is any of that true?
They're just holding things, period. If you don't know about it, you ain't going to ask about it. And if you ask about it, someone has to give you permission to even talk about it. Because if no one just decides they don't want to talk about it, you can't force them. You can't. There's no conspiracy. People are saying if they're giants and Robert Wood, like, yeah, aren't you going to go to jail? No. Why? There's no conspiracy. the lady just confessed. You just had a whole article. She's like, yeah, we've taken bodies that were diseased and we use them for science. And now
just only apologize for that. I mean,
and we're sorry for doing science stuff and trying to help the human race by learning about these maybe a mutation or an illness, or how did this disease go this way? I mean, basically the elephant man, again, the elephant man in the room, his body is valuable because he had all these particular disease, and they wanted to find out why, and they don't know why until they examined someone with that disease. That's it. I mean, it's information for scientists. Yeah.
Okay, here's somebody asked a question, this is awesome. Tell us about the warehouse in Denver where they put the Ark at the end of Indiana Jones movie. We know it's real. Well, tell us about Denver.
Okay, well, I've talked about it before. It's not a secret. Eric, when I was in DC, it's the same example. In Maryland, Suitland, Maryland, is the storage facility areas specifically for artifacts to be stored long term, to be used for science and study. So the Denver, they're all over the United States. They've got warehouses.
Oh yeah,
like Indiana Jones,
all over the United States. I mean, $1.25 billion ain't just for one place, one building.
Yeah, and my particular type of work that I've done is I talked about it, the CO2 tent, where you bring the artifacts in, you run the CO2, and it kills all the living organisms. You put them in a controlled warehouse. It's all temperature controlled, humidity controlled, everything preserved for science. So if the Ark of the Covenant was found, they got it. It's preserved. Now, is it in Denver, or is it in Suitland, or is it in some other place?
And if they do have an Ark, it doesn't necessarily mean for a fact that's for religion purposes, right?
Well, the Ark of the Covenant
It's for the
with
10
a,
Commandments and stuff. Yeah.
it it was a briefcase, a box
To carry.
that
Yeah.
carried the supposed 10 commandments, but there were no 10 commandments because there was no Exodus. There's no
Well,
evidence for Exodus.
well,
So
Carla
there was
says,
never an Exodus.
well,
There
Carla
was no
says, Dr. Wu, are you like the Vatican Library? You can only disclose the information already known.
No, I can tell you anything you guys want. There is
So
no secret.
no reverse engine that you saw, alien technology, anything
No,
out
that's
of the,
TV. That's fake shit. That's TV. And if there was something, and they're not flying saucers, they're machines that can jump interdimensional. And I talk about it's frequency. So Eric, we're okay. So all of us, we're on channel 32. We're on channel 32 frequency. So we're all talking and having a good time on channel. Come on in, Eric, on channel 32 frequency. They might live on channel 47 frequency. So somehow they've adjusted their frequency where they can come into channel 32. That's it. I mean, that's it. There ain't no fucking jumping from other planets and all kinds of shit. They're just adjusting their frequencies. That's it. So you got an object that becomes transparent because all they're doing is changing the frequency. They're going a little bit back to 47 channel. You can't quite see me because I'm turning the channel back a little bit. I'm becoming transparent. They're just coming in and coming out, coming in and coming out. That's the ones that are doing that. And there's also ones that are just living here too. They're living somewhere else. You guys just don't know where. And they're just popping in and say hello. And they're popping back to fucking Dodge. That's it. But then you have the interdimensionals, what they call them, the ones that come in with the frequencies and stuff like that. But that's not complicated. That's easy science.
now, Deer in Headlights says, ask him about CERN.
Yeah, CERN is a light show. Stupid. Now, okay, let me give you guys a spin on CERN. Here we go. I'm gonna make it easy. Okay, so you're a kid and you like piñatas, but here's the thing.
Hey,
so
this
Eric,
guy likes pianos. This guy likes them.
He loves piñatas. So you got a piñata. A piñata is the particle, right? It's the particle they're going to blow up. It's the same as a piñata. So you take two piñatas and they smash them together. And then what comes out of them is more piñatas, but much smaller piñatas. Then they pick one of those and say, pick up that one and pick up that one out of the mess. And let's smash these and see what's inside of there. They smash those. And guess what? There's more. And then they smash those two and there's more. And there's more. And there's always more. CERN is it's chasing the dragon's tail. There's no ending to the particles within particles, within particles, within particles, within particles, within particles. And it takes a lot of electricity and a lot of hard fucking, and it's just a lot of shit. And you know what they've successfully done? They've named more particles. These are quark lurks. These are perky turks. They're running out of names, man. We got to figure this shit out. We're going to smash two more piñatas, and we've already used all the names we could come up with. Use Jerk Kirk, they're just ripping apart particles, and they're finding out it goes at an infinite. It's a waste. That's why the United States of America were building their own collider, and it was in Texas. And after looking at the research, certain physicists of string theory, they were going, hey, wait a minute, man. No, scrap it. Scrap this. Scrap it. Americans go scrap it because they're ripping apart piñatas and there's more piñatas and there's no end to it. And they're like, they're not learning anything. We're learning about the fabric of the universe. You're learning about breaking shit down to more and more and more, and there's nothing. What are you going to do now? They're going to fire it back up with more power and shoot what? You have a particle within a particle that was in a particle that was in a particle that was in a particle. Now we're going to shoot quirk with super nerp. And with what? More particles. We don't even have enough names for all these. That's it. That's CERN. It's a waste of money.
So, is there anything that you've seen in the Smithsonian that you think that will blow people away? Was there anything out of ordinary? Like, wow, people will shit if they see this.
I like the coelacanth. That was cool. There are giant squid. That's cool. There's all kinds of weird fish and all kinds of weird vertebrates. That was cool. I like seeing all the deformations of people with diseases and parts of their stuff, their weird bones and stuff. That was cool. Seeing all the oddities. That was always weird. Um, it's hard. You get numb to it. The collider in Texas was yes, it was because the Americans were like the string theory. The string theory and Americans were like, hey, you know what, dude, this is fucking stupid. This is like fucking stupid. The physicists finally got together. Even I forget it. He's a famous physicist, Japanese guy. His name is Dr. Bukaki. You got up the ass Tyson, and you got Dr. Bukaki. Now, even the Bukaki guy, he was he's a string theorist now. That's the new wave. That's the new wave of physics. We're string theory now. And then because they realized after they were smashing the particles, it really, really backed up the idea for string theory. So now you have all these string theories. It's like a new religion. It's the new religion in science because of the colliders. They're like, oh, we told you it's just frequencies. We told you.
Now, if they wanted to do a tour down there where you're at with people,
oh hell no!
Is there anything that they will hide?
No, they're not hiding anything. Everything's stored. You can't hide it. It's packed. You can't go in there because it's highly explosive. It's vulnerable. And I had to wear. I remember I told you I had to wear the special shoes, static-free shoes, static-free clothes. Static-free everything. Got to be static-free because you're dealing with alcohol. lots of explosive materials for artifact preservations, for preservation in general, for the vertebrates. And you got to do hose training, firefighting training. You got to know the routes. You got to know because that stuff can go up fast, and they don't want nobody in there touching shit. They don't want dumb people in there. Look, get your hand off of it.
Okay.
Stupid. It's why there's a vitrine right here to block it.
Yeah. Danny says that, but has he ever seen inside all the warehouse? Who knows what they got in place that requires more than the janitor's security clearance?
No, I have the high security clearance you could have, man. And I've been in a lot of them places. I've been all over.
Okay. How about this?
I'll tell you what.
Last question. If Danny, hope he doesn't, say Danny, smoked some weed tonight and he passed away calmly, beautifully in his sleep.
I'm going to get high.
Would Danny's head fit in any glass inside the Smithsonian? Would he be preserved in the Smithsonian?
We would need a large vitrine for his head. Yeah. Well, we'd have to take him to the bug room and leave him in there for about a month. Again, they have a bug room where you bring in anything that they need the flesh eaten from its bones. And then there's a bug guy that sits in there. I joke about it. It's not a lie. It's the coolest thing. You got, this is how I describe it. It's like, it looks like a giant, huge Olympic-sized pool that's filled with bugs. And the guy's a bug guy. So anyway, biologist. But anyway, he's an old man that sits there he reminds me of the guy from the MIB at the beginning of the building when you go in and he just sits there in that chair. That's exactly what he does. So you go in there and it stinks like rotten fucking flesh. They ask you if you want to, before you go in there, you want to put a little something on your nose, man, because it'll almost so bad. It's almost rancid. You'll throw up, and they don't want you throwing up and shit in there. They want you to. So I'm like, yeah, I'll put a little bit on my nose.
I mean, like Danny wrote here, they're hiding stuff at some secret warehouse in the desert. They don't keep nothing important in dangerous warehouse. But thing is, any organization, everybody's hiding something secret.
Everybody's hiding
what we think it is, but everybody. Government probably uses every spot to hold something secret.
Danny Staten's probably got a lot of hidden freaking porno magazines. He hides from his wife. He's probably got a hidden space too. Let's go to his house and look for his pornos. You don't want no one to know about it. Everybody hides something. We got some things. They had things they don't want people to fucking mess with. They don't want people to. There's no reason for it. And then everybody would want it to come out. Everybody wants to see it. And guess what? When you got the radiation hitting it, and you got a bunch of snot-nosed little kids just slurping their faces up against the vitrines, looking. Come on, man. It's like this thing deserves more than have some snot-nosed kids staring at it, eating a fucking gelato. And then someone making up a conspiracy theory about it, because everybody's an idiot. So I told you they exist, honey. Honey, stop spilling the gelato all over the countertop. Fat people staring at fucking, if you're dumb, stay away from this important things. That's just basically what the government, that's what the Smithsonian is like. They're too dumb to look at it because they'll start a conspiracy about it. And then all of a sudden they got to drag it out.
You're wrong. I got to let you know you were completely wrong because Danny's wife died a long time ago, so he doesn't have to hide his porn anymore.
Oh, good. See, now you don't have anything to hide. So tell us what ones you have. We want to know. Let's reverse it to Danny. Now, everybody wants to know what's in the Smithsonian. We want to know what pornos Danny has. Now, Danny's going to be like, I don't want to tell people about my pornos. That's my business.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question. Somebody's asking this question. I'll ask it. Is the Smithsonian haunted?
Yeah.
Well,
it is.
I said on my show yesterday that every building has some kind of a spirit, but how haunted it is different, So I can see the Smithsonian being haunted with all those bodies, with all those parts, brains.
Good question. And hells to the yes. It is haunted as fuck. Now, I don't care. I've seen them my whole life. Hell, I died. Me and Eric died a couple times. Anyway, I don't care. I'm numb to it. I had to go up to they have an attic. Smithsonian also has, like, in the Natural History Museum. I was in that. And the natural history portion, they have an attic, and up in the attic, they've got it's every inch of the place has got something stored. So I had to go up to the attic because that's where I had to work on the bones that were indigenous, but they were also the ones that were in prison that they exhumed because they're building condos or whatever, and no tribe is claiming their bones. Smithsonian has taken them in and given them a home. And so I had to go up there with all this equipment, basically like Daddy says, like a damn janitor. I had to clean all their bones, clean the boxes out. Anyway, so I'm in there, and I hear voices. I have things thrown at me. It's just me. Okay, so someone's playing a joke. I did my walk around. Now, this is a professional place. There's nobody playing. There's no joking, no goofing around. You gotta be serious.
You're probably the biggest joker there.
Yeah, I was a big joker. And so I know a joke. And so I was up there, man, and it was freaking like I could hear the steps behind me and I hear the creak. I'm like, you're right behind me, dude. I know you are. I know there's something.
Judy Mueller has a question for you. Can those bodies be covered in paper mesh?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. Yes. People that go squatch hunting, they use you could use a paper mache, or people use different materials that kind of fill in for the footprint or
footprint stuff. Yeah.
And they use that for all kinds of things. In fact, people that Pompeii, Pompeii had the whatever's
Pompeii had volcano eruption. Yeah.
So when you guys see the bodies of Pompeii, they're like white and they're like this. No, they were just bones, and their body eroded, it deteriorated. Their body, there's no material. So there was the body outline. Their body outline was still in the hot ash. So the hot ash got them, killed them, filled them in. And then when their flesh, the flesh went away and all the gases came out of their rotten bodies, you have this gap around the shape where their body was, the actual size, and they filled it in with a material that hardened around the empty space. And so when they pulled them out and they excavated them out, you have them look like this, and they're still holding jars, and but the body was filled in. It wasn't. This is not how they look. So, it's the same thing. It looks like those little freaking alien thingies. It's just the same thing as the Pompeii methodology to excavate them from the ground and have them still in their position of what they were doing for information. Like, how did they die? How did they suffer? How did they look in the ground? Yeah, Pompeii. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but you understand, they were just bones. They were just bones in the ash with a gap because their flesh was no longer attached to the edges. So there was a large space around them. So they have the full face. It's the same thing as the paper mache looking alien.
You know what's sad? I remember this about Pompeii because in Seattle Science Center at the Space Needle had this for 1 month you could come in here and see stuff from Pompeii. They bring stuff in like every other month or so. And this month it was Pompeii. And I remember, oh, that'd be cool. Let's go see it. So we go down there, we pay, and right before you go in, like on this big thing says, just letting you know, everything in here are duplicates. They're not the real deal. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
why
it's fake.
It's like, what? I don't want to pay money to see fake.
Yeah, a lot of things like that are fake.
I want to see the real thing.
I think that my biggest message to people is that people can't handle history. Not everyone can. For example, down south, you have statues of Confederate generals or confederacies of whatever's, and as soon as all this whatever started to happen, the PC war started, they're ripping down the statues and they're smashing, so they're destroying history. You need to see everything equally, the bad with the good, to remember what was bad. You need to see those things. You can't destroy them. That's like book burning.
Well, so you can't move forward without understanding the past.
Yeah. So if they find out that they have all this Nazi eugenics and all this other stuff that was in there and being stored for learning purposes, bad as equal as good, people are going to immediately want to go in there and recover and destroy because there is this media frenzy going on right now. It's an artificial race thing going on. It's fake. And so they're trying to destroy history, destroy your history. So 100 years from now, 200 years from now, when everyone's a completely different genetically looking person, no one's going to be able to go back and look at that old General Lee statue because it had been destroyed by idiots. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you hate it. That you just can't destroy it. It's history. So people have a tendency to want to destroy history. Destroy it. Because they're fast food. They think about today. We don't think about generations 200-300 years down the line that want to learn a little bit about the Civil War. Well, there is no Civil War shit.
Sure.
Why? It was destroyed at the time.
And it doesn't mean you support it at all. It's important to learn all history.
It's just history. I'm a history preservation person. That's what I did for a living. I preserved history. And you got to hide the history. You got to hide the evil egg. Because if you don't hide the evil egg, they're going to want to show it with a sledgehammer and kill it.
It's kind of like that movie Oppenheimer, where, we know what they actually used the atomic bomb on. It sucks. It's sad, but you still have to know your history. You have to know how it happened, why it happened, why they even want to make it in the first place. You have to understand that,
mistakes, you learn from mistakes. That's how we learn. We learn
some
from
mistakes
our
are
mistakes.
Bigger than others. We know that.
And you need to see the mistakes to know it is a mistake. If you don't have the mistakes, it's just the word of a mistake, but without the evidence to support the fact that you're making a mistake. You know what I'm saying? You got to see the mistake first. So you see they collected bodies of people that have diseases from mistakes from doctors that made horrible, stupid decisions. And we want to see the stupid decision. Let's see it. Don't do this. History, oh, God.
History is, it is dying down. Some people still say, Germany is the most evil, war power, but people forget the good old country, the UK, the British try to take over the whole world. in their
Well,
time.
if it wasn't, well, I mean, like,
We
we
love the
talk
UK.
about
We love the UK.
you talk about the Vikings, and everyone loves the Vikings. Okay, then you have the Crusades, but nobody knows that the Vikings are the reason for the Crusades. The Viking raids were the reasons for the Crusades.
Yep.
And so everyone's talking about the Crusades. We're all about the Christians fighting the Muslims. Nah, they're primarily the Christians going over to fight against the pirates. For
That's
people
true.
going on pilgrimage. The Vikings
They're
were
going
killing-
there for their own selfish reasons.
Well, they were all these Europeans were going there with all this stuff to go to the Holy Land for their religion, and they were going to leave. They were loaded with all kinds of goodies, and the Vikings, the pirates, basically figured out all that.
Rewrite history, just like
So
you
they
said.
went in
They
there-
tried to rewrite history.
He went in there to fucking to raid all them wonderful freaking trinkets and all that stuff because they're pagan. So they had to send in like all these special groups, and the Knights Templar came in to be special just to specifically fight. They were there to fight Muslim. No, they weren't. They were there to fight Vikings. But all of a sudden now it was a holy war against. No, it was mostly they're fighting the Vikings. And in fact, some of the Vikings fought with Islam against the Christians.
Wow.
Well, we don't know that. Nobody knows that.
Yeah. Well,
Destroy.
guys, we're about the end part of the show. I think this conversation is always fun and it's awesome. And like I said, I'm not saying anything about other channels, but there's a lot of speculations that other channels make. But sometimes it's better to talk to someone who's actually been in there, who actually seen the inside. And there's more than, like you said, it's more than one building. There's hundreds of buildings all around the United States.
It's the same as NASA. Everyone thinks that there's one NASA building, and those guys are liars. No, NASA is a conglomerate of many, many different, and everybody has their own little specific job to do all over the place. There's not one entity. It's multiple.
The only things connected is the government owns all of them with their donation, or whatever we want to call it. Their so
yeah.
Well, beyond that, are you doing the show tonight?
Yeah, I got a lot of weed, so yeah, I just bought a new batch. So I'm gonna do one tonight and take a break.
Man. Well, people in the chat, I hope all you guys had a good time. I thought, we never fully talked honestly on the Smithsonian, and here we go. We did. So hopefully you guys learned a lot, and think twice when people say there's aliens and reverse technology. Ask somebody who's been there. If you guys know Dr. Wu, he doesn't give a shit. He'll tell you exactly what he saw.
Fucking care. There's no secret.
Danny's right on one part. You're right. You can't be in every single warehouse, so you can't always ever see. But you were in the main heart of the Smithsonian.
Yeah, I was in the and I knew when I was also, and I had access to the computer system, so I knew where certain things were supposed to be and whatever's. And then I had to go to all these warehouses with the CO2 tent. So my job was artifact preservation, and I handled all the shit. So it's important. I ran the CO2 tents. So I've been all over. So yeah, I've been all over places.
And people in chat, of course, hit that thumbs up, but leave me a comment. I don't get a lot of comments. Leave us a comment. Say if you think Bob and myself is ugly, put Bob, Eric, you're both ugly. We love that.
We
love honesty.
Man. I'm good looking.
You're right. We are good looking. I mean, it just we can't help it.
It's not my fault.
It's like we could be the modern day Milli Vanilli. They don't care if we could fake sing or not. We're so good looking, the way we dance and stuff.
Everything.
And God, man, I mean, a man who wears a shirt that says I eat ass.
Yeah.
You can't ask for better than that for a woman, right?
Yeah. I get a lot of compliments.
So beyond that, we'll see you guys next time. I'll see you all next time this Monday. See you guys later. Talk to you later.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass. Did you see it?